guys, I'm Marcus with Detloff Manufacturing. Today we're releasing our new diesel exhaust fluid pump and transfer case guard for the 2014 to present 2500 and 3500 Cummins trucks. If you have a Hemi, we have a different skid plate for those trucks that is a little bit different, catered towards the gas motor. Feel free to check that out. If you have a Cummins, this one's for you. So what we've done here is we have improved upon the protection that the factory offers for the transfer case and added to it with additional protection for the DEF pump. This is the factory skid plate that goes underneath the transfer case. It's a very thin steel stamping. It's unsupported internally. It's a very light duty skid plate. These trucks are 9 or 12,000 pounds trail weight. The 3500's gross vehicle weight rating is 12K. Most of these trucks, even the power wagons, are bare minimum 8,500 pounds on the trail. So we have to be realistic about how much structure we have in our skid plates to protect these chassis. The factory attempt is maybe a check mark, a rubber stamp, but it's not a legitimate piece of protection. This is extremely easy to smash in. The bolt heads are exposed on this and easy to shear off. This just doesn't really protect the transfer case very well in the factory trucks. In my opinion, actually, even the bigger issue is the diesel exhaust fluid pump. This is the plastic cover cap that comes on the trucks now. This covers the DEF pump. On some trucks, they have a metal stamping. It's a little piece of steel, this same shape. The problem is that there is zero protection from either of these on the factory DEF pump. The issue is that this sits in a cross member that sits in the center of the chassis. It's the rear cross member right at the breakover point of the truck, and the DEF pump sits 2 millimeters above the top of this plate, less than 1/8 of an inch. This bolts into a very flimsy piece of the cross member, and if you were to just crawl under your truck, you could put your hand under this piece of plastic or metal and you could push this into the DEF pump. There's almost zero clearance, there's almost no structure in there, and because it's at the center point of the truck, if you were to break over a berm, a snow berm, a whoop, a rock, a tree that's fallen in the trail, you have a very high propensity for landing the truck straight on that cross member. If you crush the DEF pump, you will cause an alarm in your emission system, and your truck will at some point go into a limp mode. If it goes into a limp mode because the emission system is toast, you will only be able to drive so far before it cuts you off at 5-mile-an-hour top speed. That is a great way to ruin a trip. Even if you're fairly close to home, that is a major nuisance. So we're trying to avoid that and an expensive repair by protecting that area. What we've done here is we've offered a far more robust design made entirely out of 3/16 formed steel. This has smooth engagement surfaces on all edges, so it's a very smooth engagement and disengagement as you go over an obstacle, and all of the fasteners are recessed in here. So we're mounting it to factory hole locations. We don't have to do any fabrication or modification to the stock vehicle, and we have protected hardware that's not going to get sheared off by a rock or a tree stump or something like that. What we've done here in terms of geometry is that we've expanded the surface area that we're protecting over the factory transfer case area. So we have more protection. We have more robust protection with a much more structural element. It's a lot more robust and built for these 9 to 12K trail weight trucks. And we've added in a DEF protection here. So this area is going to cover the diesel exhaust fluid pump, and it incorporates a standoff distance off of the pump. I want to touch real quick on different design philosophies on protecting the pump. There are a few companies that make a flat plate that emulates this exact geometry that bolts in place of this. That does not work. Very plainly to put this, if you have a skid plate there, no matter what you make it out of, if you make it out of 1/2-inch thick AR 500 plate, the problem is that if you smash it on anything, the skid plate itself will crush the DEF pump. So just replacing this does not work. That is not a skid plate. What we have to do, just being honest about the structure that's required to protect these heavy chassis, is that we have to offer standoff distance. And so what we have here, in addition to a very robust skid plate made out of 3/16 plate steel with all corners welded fully and internal geometry added, is that we've also incorporated 1.5 inches of standoff distance. If you crush this on a rock or something else on a trail, this can deform some without ever touching the DEF pump. That is the protection that we need. So that's what we've offered here. Again, it's full factory mounting. There's no modification required. This is a drop-in part for all the 14 to present 2500 and 3500 trucks, not the cabin chassis, but the pickups. And I think that we've really nailed the protection that we need here. The DEF pump has gone without any realistic protection for a very long time, and we wanted to offer something that is very useful to the guys that are out there pushing their trucks. There's a lot of guys running campers. There's a lot of guys that are just pushing their trucks harder and harder as we go. Now that we know how well these trucks do on trails, they're really getting used on the hard trails. So we want to be able to support our end users, and this is what we've offered for you guys. Thank you very much. This will be up on the website. Chat with you soon.